As the brilliant orange sunrise washed over the Neoplastic Valley, the colossal SATURN V-REX rocket stood tall, a towering monument to their wildest dreams. At the base of the launch pad, Frost and Fang dug their paws into the snow, hauling a small trolley carrying the most dangerous cargo of all, a transparent cylinder packed with black and dark red plates, marked with a flaming chili pepper. With a sharp blow of Lila's whistle, the automated crane lowered, plucking the explosive pepper and dropping it straight into the rocket's core reactor. A blinding, trans-orange glow ignited instantly, surging up the side of the hull through complex energy tubes. High above in the nose cone cockpit, GROG sat rigid in the co-pilot seat, adjusting his transparent radar dish oxygen mask. He flashed a confident thumbs up to the dashboard camera, signaling that energy was at 100% and pressure was stable. Beside him, manning the central control, Rexy sat heavily, his massive four-segment tail plugged securely into the Technic steering joint. The giant T-Rex looked over at his little teddy bear strapped safely in the passenger seat, gently patting the bear's head with a tiny, trembling arm to comfort himself. His nervous breaths fogged up the glass dome resting snugly over his snout. Down on the ground, Lila stared intensely at her radar tile, the green dot resting perfectly at the center. The wind began to howl across the mountain peak, whistling through the plastic scaffolding. Click-clack rolled up beside her, its red eye blinking in perfect, chilling synchronization with the launch clock. Lila took a deep breath and blew a long, piercing whistle that echoed across the entire ice age. Raising her white megaphone, she commanded all stations to brace themselves. The countdown had begun. Click-clack's red eye flashed. 10, 9. The massive locking pins securing the hull snapped open with heavy, decisive clacks. 8. Thick white cotton smoke began to billow from the exhaust valves, sending a panicked Stomp shrinking his long neck to hide completely behind a giant boulder. 7. Frost and Fang released the backup cables, sprinting far away and barking loudly into the wind. 6. Deep inside the lower thrusters, the spinning rotors whirred into a deafening tornado. 5. Inside the cockpit, GROG gripped his safety handles as the entire massive ship began to rattle violently. 4. Rexy gulped hard, his white-plated toe digging into the floorboards as the white daisy on GROG's hat shook like it was caught in a hurricane. 3. The first blinding trans-orange sparks erupted from the main exhaust. 2. Lila gripped her map tile so tightly her hands shook, her eyes locked on the sky. 1. The engines roared with an ear-splitting, bone-rattling scream. Through the megaphone, Lila screamed at the top of her lungs. "Ignite explosive pepper! Blast off!" Boom! An apocalyptic explosion erupted at the base. Tens of thousands of trans-orange and yellow bricks flooded the valley like a magnificent waterfall of liquid fire, melting the ice and sending shockwaves that bounced the loose bricks right off the ground. Massive clouds of white cotton smoke billowed outward, entirely consuming the bottom half of the rocket. Slowly, heavily, defying the very laws of gravity, the colossal SATURN V-REX lifted off the ground. The screech of scraping plastic echoed as the hull slid past the launch tower, the thrusters casting a blinding, fiery glow across Lila's awestruck face. Suddenly, the ship accelerated, leaving the empty tower far behind. From the ground, the majestic T-Rex-headed rocket tore through the brilliant sky, dragging a breathtakingly massive trail of white smoke behind it. The hurricane-force winds from the launch blew Frost and Fang tumbling through the snow, pushed Click-clack backward, leaving deep tread marks in the dirt, and sent Lila's skirt whipping wildly as she shielded her eyes from the blinding light. Piercing through the dense cloud layer, the ship soared higher, the bright blue sky fading into the deep, dark, star-speckled abyss of space. Inside the cockpit, the crushing G-force pinned the astronauts deep into their seats. Grog's plastic face vibrated violently against the artificial wind, his mouth pinned wide open. But Rexy had it much worse. The immense downward pressure forced his thick neck to shrink. Without the support of his snout, the glass dome helmet suddenly slipped down, clack, completely covering and sealing over the dinosaur's eyes. Plunged into darkness and entirely blinded, Rexy panicked, letting out a muffled, terrified roar, driven by pure survival instinct. His giant tail, plugged directly into the steering joystick, began thrashing wildly from side to side. Instantly, the colossal SATURN V-REX jerked violently, zigzagging and swerving across the sky like a deranged snake, its beautiful white smoke trail twisting into pathetic, wobbly squiggles. Down on Earth, Lila stared at her radar, watching the green dot scribble chaotically across the screen, her jaw dropping in utter disbelief. Tossed upside down in the cockpit, GROG slammed his head against the windshield, screaming at Rexy to hold his tail still before they flipped over. But Rexy couldn't hear a thing over the roaring engines. He flailed his tiny, useless arms forward, blindly clawing at the central control panel to find a way to take the helmet off. Smack! Click! Beep! His tiny claws mashed every button in sight. Suddenly, a mechanical swish-swish echoed outside the cockpit glass. Having a near heart attack, GROG looked up through the main windshield into the pitch-black void of space. 2 black plastic windshield wipers had magically activated, diligently swiping back and forth across the outer glass. GROG's dotted eyes widened in sheer disbelief, screaming into the void that his co-pilot had just turned on the windshield wipers. In the absolute vacuum of space! The wipers continued their pointless, rhythmic dance in a universe without a single drop of rain, looking so incredibly absurd and out of place that the tension snapped. GROG couldn't hold it in. He burst into hysterical laughter, the flower on his hat shaking violently as he reached over with his wrench. With a gentle tap, he unlatched the glass dome, sliding it back up onto Rexy's snout. Vision restored, Rexy blinked innocently, sheepishly lowering his tiny arms and freezing his tail perfectly still. The ship immediately obeyed, regaining its balance and shooting in a dead straight line, piercing the final layer of the atmosphere. GROG reached over and flicked the switch, tucking the ridiculous black wipers away. Rexy glanced over at his teddy bear, who was spinning upside down from the wild ride, but thanks to the seatbelt, was perfectly safe. The giant T-Rex gave the bear a gentle nudge with his nose, breathing a heavy sigh of relief. And then, the roaring jet engines cut out. The violent shaking stopped completely. The cabin plunged into an absolute, profound silence, accompanied only by a sweeping, majestic orchestral swell. GROG's gray wrench slowly slipped from his grasp, floating weightlessly through the air. True zero gravity had begun. Rexy's teddy bear drifted upward, hovering peacefully at the end of its safety strap. GROG pulled off his bulky radar mask, a deeply satisfied smile spreading across his face as he looked out the window. Floating far below them was a breathtaking giant planet, pieced together from millions of blue and green bricks. The magnificent neoplastic city was now nothing more than a tiny, faint speck of light. Rexy's jaw dropped, his dark eyes reflecting the sparkling expanse of the Milky Way, his fears completely forgotten. Back on Earth, the smoke and dust finally cleared. Lila stood alone on the highest cliff, slowly lowering the silver whistle from her lips. She stared up at a tiny, blinking dot, fading further and further into the deep, black void. Frost, Fang, and Stomp stepped up beside her, standing in a proud row as they watched their friends soar. Click-Clack aimed its red eye at the sky, firing a straight laser beam into the night as a final salute. Lila smiled softly, her eyes glistening, whispering into the wind, "Safe travels, you dreamers." Out in the vastness of space, the great SATURN V-REX glided peacefully, parting the sea of twinkling stars. With a sharp clack, a booster panel detached, spinning back down toward the atmosphere as the true journey into the unknown officially began. The camera slowly drifted back, the ship growing smaller and smaller as the words "End of Episode 60" materialized from sparkling clear bricks floating in the dark abyss of the universe. Snap! A bright circular spotlight punched through the pitch-black screen, illuminating a pure white baseplate right in the center. Tiny, rhythmic, clicking footsteps echoed out as Zippy, the glossy black Lego ant, strolled right into the spotlight. He looked straight into the lens, his big, innocent black eyes blinking sweetly. Rearing up, Zippy stood firmly on his hind legs. With his front legs, he proudly hoisted a special tile high into the air. It was a brilliant YouTube red brick, crisply printed with the words, "Like and subscribe," in stark white. Zippy nodded his head furiously, let out an incredibly cute, joyful squeak, and with a sharp click, the spotlight snapped off.